Hi, this is Pastor Kimball again. Today we're on Unit 1, Day 3, page number 17 in our handbook. Today we're going to be learning what it's like to be a servant of God as we seek to have a closer walk. Many scriptures and passages describe Jesus as a servant, God's servant. And I think one of the best scriptures that gives us that description is Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8, which says, "He, being in the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but he made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in the appearance of a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death on the cross." Philippians 2, 5 and 8. Jesus did not consider his godness to hinder him from being a servant of God. He brought himself down. He humbled himself. His role was to submit to the Father in order that he might do the will of the Father. Jesus in Matthew chapter 20, verses 26 to 28, says, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whosoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve." Just like Jesus became the Son of Man and became a servant of God. In John chapter 20, verses 26 to 28, he said, "Whosoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whosoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus identified his relationship with his Father as one of a servant. And based on those scriptures, let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself to be a servant of God? Even more so, the question becomes, are you willing to be obedient to the Master? That's the servant's role. The way that Jesus was a servant with his Father was that he sought to see what the Father, the Master, was already doing, and he joined in and allowed the Master to complete what he was doing through him. There was never a separation between what the Master was doing and him going off and doing what he thought the Master ought to be doing. There's another model that might be helpful when you think about your role as a servant of God, and that is the model of the potter and the clay. Some of you may have heard it. Let me share with you in Jeremiah chapter 18, verses 1 through 6. Jeremiah says, "This is the word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord. Go down to the potter's house, and there I will give you a message." So I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working at the wheel. But the pot he was shaping from the clay was marred in his hands. So the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best for him. Then the word of the Lord came to me, "O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter does, declares the Lord? Like the clay in the hand of the potters, so shall you be in my hand, O house of Israel." Two things about the potter and the clay. One is that the clay must be moldable. The clay must be soft enough to be shaped, not into its own image, but into the image that the potter wants to shape the clay. And then secondly, the clay must remain in the potter's hand. In order to be a servant of God, you must be moldable and be willing to stay on the wheel till the potter is finished with the clay. Another model that would be helpful when we start talking about a servant of God is found in 1 Kings chapter 18, when it's the story of Elijah at Mount Carmel and the victory over the prophets of Baal. Let me just read a couple of verses from that to help shape our thinking concerning a servant's role. So Ahab sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together at Mount Carmel. And Elijah came to all the people and said, "How long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him." But the people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said to the people, "I alone am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men." Therefore Elijah said, "Let them give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, cut it into pieces and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. And I will prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire under it. Then you call on your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he is God." So all the people said, "It is well spoken." The story goes on to, if you read the story, and I want to encourage you to continue to read the story, to see that here was a perfect example of a servant. A couple of things that are pointed out there is, first of all, is that the servant was outnumbered 450 to 1, 850 to 1. And then God displayed his power. The servant was not asked to do anything but to join God in this whole process of identifying who he was. God did the work, not the prophet. The prophet simply was obedient to what God was doing. And so it is that as we journey into a closer walk, you will find that what is required of you is not for you to do the work, but for you to allow him to do the work through you, and then he gets all the glory. Have you ever heard the saying that somebody might say to you, "Don't just stand there, do something"? Have you ever heard that? Well, I'd like to say, don't just do something, stand there. That's God's way of dealing with us. We're not asked to jump off and get started doing something so for the sake of doing it. God is saying, don't do anything. Stand there and I'll do it for you. In summary, to be a servant of God, you first must be moldable and remain in the hands of the potter. Secondly, apart from God, you can do nothing. Thirdly, God can do anything through you. Fourthly, I find out where the master is working, then I know that is where I need to be. And then finally, I come to know God by experiencing him and obeying him, and he accomplishes his work through me. Well, that's our time that we have today. Let me go over our memory verse for this week. John chapter 15, verse 5. In the NIV version says, "I am the vine and you are the branches. If any man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing." Again, I want to invite you to memorize the verse, write it down, repeat it over and over again till it gets into your spirit. Don't forget to blog. If you have a testimony or something that you would like to share, use our blog as you see on the screen before you. And join us once again on tomorrow as we walk a little closer to him. Thank you and God bless you.